welcome to part 2 of whatever episode this is, how to do the roof. And this part is going to be rather quick, this first part that I'm going to show you, because I'm not actually going to do it. Well, I will do it, but not on camera. And I'll just explain it right now. So we have the ridge board here, and these end truss things, and we need to put supports going from here to here, also known as rafters, and basically they need to go like this. But you have to cut them a certain way, and first I want to explain something. If I were to look at that ridge board, that piece on the top, would you be able to tell me if that is perfectly straight or not? No, you wouldn't, because you can't tell. A way to tell if that is straight is to look down the side, and now you could see every little imperfection in it, right? But if it's like that, you can't tell. Also, it's the same for really anything. You could look down the side of a stick, and if it's bent, you'll be able to tell. But if you were just to look at it like that, you wouldn't really be able to tell. And that's going to really help us out here, using that little trick. And so how we're going to be using that trick for when we do the rafters is we're going to be putting up rafters. I'm going to put them every inch. So I'm going to mark lines here for every inch and then lines on here for every inch. But the roof needs to be perfectly flat. They all need to be on the same surface. And by looking at the roof, like say it was finished, by just looking at the rafters, I wouldn't be able to tell if they were all lined up or not. But if you look down the side, see this truss here, this one right here? If I move it just perfectly, this one and this one will line up perfectly. Alright, so right about there, might look a little bit different on the camera, I can't tell. Right about there, they line up perfectly, they're parallel. Now when we fill the rafters in, they should all line up with each other. They should all disappear at the same time. Because when you look down at the side like this, you'll be able to tell if one of them is sticking out or not. And so I'm going to put up a picture on the screen right now of the other house that I made, and you could see the rafters, and you could tell that they're all spaced evenly, none of them are bulging out, they're all nice. But this is how you're going to be able to tell if they're spaced nicely. And so how we're going to cut this is we're just going to kind of put the stick here, kind of just rest it like this, and then you're going to go ahead and draw a line, parallel with the wall here, and it's going to be a cut just like this cut right here, so it's going to be that angle. However, the top of it is not going to be round. And so once you get the cut, you're going to put the stick here, and again it's kind of a guess and check. You're just going to draw a line going straight down, then you're going to cut it, see if it fits, cut it, see if it fits, and just keep doing that until you get one that fits. However, the only way to know if it fits is to look down the side, and I'll show you that in a second. Alright, so now that I've got a few done, I'll share a couple more hints with you. Well, first of all, let me show you another example of this. When I put it at the side, see how that's parallel with them? They also all disappear at pretty much the same time. You can tell none of them are bumping out or anything. So look at the top, it's nice. The bottom, it's nice. Get it from, and if you look at it like this, you wouldn't even be able to tell. But from the side, you could really tell that they're just about perfect. Alright, here's another hint. Don't do one side at once, because as you can see, this is bending this way just a little bit, because all these are just pressing their weight down this way. You want to have the weight going the opposite direction as well. So I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to start on this side. Oh, and one more thing. Do not keep measuring these and cutting them and guessing and checking. Once you get the first one cut to the right length, just copy that onto several other sticks so that you can just cut them, and you'll still have to do some adjusting for each one, but at least you know the basic length of it, and then you could just make a small adjustment and then glue it on, so you don't have to redo it every time. Now I'm going to show you something that you're probably not going to do in your house, but this is just something on mine, and of course every house is different, so you're going to have to do your own little things that I'm not going to teach you, but I'm just going to show you an example of something that you need to watch out for. Now, there needs to be a triangle wall there. Like, see how there's a wall here? There needs to be one here as well. The wall's gonna go like this and then down like this, just the same as this one. So what I did was I had these spaced all 1 inch apart, but when I got to this one, I put this rafter in between these two. I put it on the very edge right there, and it goes up, and then I glued a piece to the back of it, and then I put 2 studs there to hold the siding. And now we have a problem on this side, and so we have to use some problem solving skills, because we need to have one of these joists on the end here, and so that gets in our way of, you can't really set a stud on top of that. So I put a second one here, and then I put a little bottom plate on it, and then once I put this rafter here, these 2 rafters, this will be my bottom plate, and then the bottom of the 2 rafters will be the top plate, and I could put 2 little studs there, and then this will all be siding. So that's just a little thing I wanted to show you. Alright, so I just finished with that. It took like a half hour maybe. And as you can see, we'll do this test again. You look down the side and you can tell nothing is really sticking out. Nothing's really abnormal. Everything is pretty much lined up. And that's what it looks like now. Your ridge board, it's being supported by everything, so you can press down on it and it's really not going to bend. It's nice and strong. And so yeah. And as you can see, I got all that figured out. So that looks nice in there. You can see that triangle wall I was talking about. And so yeah. Now the next step I'll show you. You would think the next step would be the sheathing, right? To actually put the solid roof part on top of here. It's actually, well, it could be the next part, but not in my case. Since this is a model house, once we finish the roof, we're not going to be able to get inside of it. And we need to put siding underneath this roof. Just like how we did siding underneath the ceiling. Except it's slanted. And so we need to do that before we put the sheeting on the roof. And so it's really the same exact thing as that. You cut the stick to its length, and it's hard to do with one hand, but you get it under there, and then you hold it where it needs to be, and you just put glue where it needs to go, and then you wait a few seconds and you let go and it stays there. And so really that's all you do, and you're going to do that for the entire roof here, and then when you're done I'll show you how to do the sheeting. So I just went ahead and I finished that, and now our next step is to do the actual sheeting on the roof. And in order to do that, well, here's what I like to do. I mean, you could do this however you want, but I like to have the actual roof pieces going parallel with the rafters. See how they like point up? They're not like going sideways. That's how I like to have my roof. However, obviously, you can't just glue the sticks like that. Well, I guess on this roof actually you could, but they would fall in between the rafters, and so we need to glue perpendicular ones, and this will be what the actual roof rests on. So you're gonna glue them like one here, one here, one here, one here. Glue them kind of close together. And if you want to have a roof overhang, you're going to cut the end flat and then let it overhang about half of a stick. So maybe that much if it were cut flat. Alright, and then you're going to just do that for the whole entire roof, and then I'll show you what to do next. Alright, so I did that, and we're ready for the siding that goes this way. But I'll do that in the next episode. And so this not only gives a nice foundation for the roof, but before this, if you would press down on one rafter, you would be pressing down on that rafter and it would probably bend a little bit. But with this spans across 4 rafters, some of them are 5, and so if I were to put weight here, it's pressing on 4 rafters, which means it's 4 times stronger. And then when we put the ones going this way, it's going to be pressing on 4 of these, which is pressing on 4 rafters, which is going to make the roof really strong, if that makes any sense. But so it's really strong right now. It doesn't even bend at all or anything, and as you can tell, it's nice and flat, and we've got a bit of an overhang here. So I'll see you in the next episode then. Oh, by the way, one thing I forgot to mention, for this part you can use bent sticks. Like, there are some sticks that are warped and you can't use them for other things. You can use those for this part, as long as they're flat. They could be like bent and not straight, but as long as they're flat, then they could work.